Hello and welcome to episode 26 of Nintendo Therapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all things Nintendo. With me this week is Sean
Hello.
and Harrison.
Hey guys, welcome back.
And I would like to talk to you gentlemen about something I discovered this week that isn't necessarily news, but I took a bunch of notes on it. So,
Okay.
unless anybody else had anything pressing they wanted to discuss.
No.
So I found a really cool video on YouTube by a user called Super Mallow, and it's all about Super Mario RPG. He over analyzed the trailer that dropped that we got in the presents, and there were a lot of good points in it, and I thought it'd be fun to just break them down and discuss here, because obviously I'm hyped for Mario RPG, and there was some really good stuff in here.
Well, shout out to Super Mallow. He sounds like someone who would make an over-analysis of a Mario RPG trailer.
Exactly.
No
Yeah,
offense.
I haven't checked any
awesome.
of his other content. I should see how much of it is RPG related.
I watched the first half. It's like a 40-minute video. I watched the first part of it. I think it's by far his most popular one. So shout out to him. I mean, way to go. I mean, you just need that one video to pop off, you know. So
Yep. So the first thing he brought up that I thought was interesting, even though I'll just say it. So the first thing is, it's interesting that I didn't even notice this. There's no Legend of the Seven Stars in the subtitle anymore. So he was saying that might hint on like side quests with more stars. But then later I actually learned that the Japanese title didn't have that subtitle, which I never knew before. So it's probably just that.
I think so.
But the second thing that he brought up and dedicated a good portion of the video to, I actually think he's dead on about this. I think he's right. I think there might be in this game party attacks or different new attack moves that have CG cutscenes attached to them, because basically he brought up a lot of good points about, in the trailer you can see this percentage meter in the battles, which is something new. We never had that in Mario RPG. There was no percentage thing that built up. And you can see it in a lot of different shots of the trailer. And a lot of these cutscenes you see in the trailer don't seem to fit anywhere in the story for the game. Like, there's characters being focused on that really don't have any dialogue in in the location where it's taking place and stuff like that. So, for example, there's a shot of Mario and Mallow riding around in Bowser's clown car, and there's no story point where Mallow would be around for the clown car. So his theory is that these are like new attacks that you get in battle. And how that would relate to the percentage meter is, there's a part in the trailer where Mario does a time attack, and it lists all the different buffs that the attack is giving you. And one of the buffs it says is action gauge. So he's guessing that action gauge is that percentage meter, and when it hits 100, you get to do a special attack.
That's interesting.
He really had me going with pointing out the specific cutscenes. You should watch the video if you're interested, because he makes a lot of good points about like why, judging by this background, we know where they are. And like, it'll be focusing on like Princess Peach, and he'll be like, there's no reason to focus on Princess Peach at this part of the story. But it also seems to be focusing on Mallow and Mario at the same time. So it seems like it's like coming from a party attack, which I would love if they make that change, because I tend to use the exact same party every time I play that game. And this would give me an excuse to switch it up to see the different attacks.
So does that include? There's a part in the trailer where Mario is on top of Yoshi. Does that?
No, that's something
different?
that's in the game. Not really a story. It's like a mini game.
Okay, yeah, because I also watched the trailer a few times after this, and really, this is not my game, so watching an analysis, I just try to listen and say, okay, because I don't know what is what.
He also pointed out that there might be some voice acting in the game. Like, I'm not expecting it to be completely voice acted, but once you notice, there's a shot in the trailer where you can see Gino using his special attack, and he's moving his mouth a lot, and you can't unsee it once you see it. And I'm not saying there's going to be like full on, monologues, but he might just be going like Gino Beam or something like that. And that would be a cool change.
That sounded pretty
Yeah.
good. They should have you do that. Um,
I'm
so
pretty sure they have him recorded already.
who do you want to be the Gino voice actor? I'm sure you've thought of this. I'm sure.
I actually don't know voice actors that well, so I'll go with Billy West.
Okay.
Because he's one of the only ones I can name.
I mean, I wanted to put you on the spot there, and I might be. I hope I'm not jumping ahead, but is there a reference like there's a part in the trailer where they defeat someone and Mario tips his hat, like he takes off his hat at the end, and like looks at the camera. Was that in the original game, or is that in reference to something? Or I did not see that, at least in the part of the video I watched.
That's not like specifically anything I can think of, but it might just be a further cutscene of a story beat there or something. I can't really think of off the top of my head what that would relate to, but it is interesting. One of the reasons people love Super Mario RPG is it has a lot of personality like that. So Mario taking off his hat like that, I could totally see it.
Was there any part of the platforming that seemed new in the trailer or in the analysis?
No, that's why I was so amazed at all these things he found, because to me, watching the trailer, I was like, this just looks like a straight, complete, like facelift remake. Like it looks like it's going to be the exact same game again. But I didn't even think about the like percentage meter on the battle menu and like what that could mean and stuff like that. I was just like, oh, look, the battles look cool. Oh, they have time attacks just like they did before. Like that was about as far as I got. And like I did notice obviously that like the hit points look different. They're on the bottom of the screen now instead of on the left side of the screen, which is nice because the way the screen is framed now, they wouldn't fit on the left side. They'd be blocking your characters. But no, I didn't notice anything different about the platforming or anything. Most of those sections seem pretty straightforward. They were just like visually updated. I did see one video that did a breakdown of that stuff that changed, and there wasn't a whole lot that was like ooh, wow, I wonder why they did that. Like it was just stuff like, oh, in the original there's a bunch of clouds here, and in the new one there's one cloud. Like stuff like that.
Right. Was there anything on the analysis about the soundtrack?
No. Yeah. There's only two more points that I took down from this. One is that they're clearly hiding the battle menu, which they have. It's not in the trailer anywhere. And Super Mario RPG has kind of, in my opinion, like an iconic battle menu because around your characters, it puts the 4 buttons of the Super Nintendo controller. And they're like the different color purples, or in the other territories, they're the rainbow colors that the Super Nintendo controllers had there. But since the Switch controller, they're all just black buttons, I don't know if they're going to do it that way. And they're it seems like they're hiding it for a reason. So I'm guessing it's probably going to end up just being like a boring list view. Like it'll just come up in a box and you'll select attack or magic or block. But it's interesting that they haven't shown it.
You're assuming that it's going to be more or less the same as far as the controls go.
Yeah, I think the controls are going to be the same. And instead of having like X, Y, A, and B around the character, it's just going to be like a normal traditional RPG menu where you select. But we'll see. Could be wrong. I think that because the way they did the characters at the bottom of the screen with their hit points, it just looks so much cleaner that it seems like they're going for more of a, I don't want to say sterile, but it's a nice, neat, and organized HUD. And the last observation is if you look at the background of them getting the last pink star where the trailer ends, it looks an awful lot like it could be the purple star from the original game, because where you get that area, it's kind of in like a gray cloud area, like what they seem to be standing on. And the thing is, they're celebrating a lot for getting that star in the trailer. And in the original game, the last star, I don't know if they just didn't have time to finish developing this part or what, but there's nothing special about the last star. It's just kind of like once you get the other 6, you go and they're like, oh, you should go check back here. You haven't been there in a while. And you go back there and the star is just there and you grab it. And I'm wondering if they improved that and added more of a boss fight there or a challenge or something that would make them be celebrating this much. Because it's really weird in the original game. The last star, you just get it. Should have been just the Legend of the 6 stars. I don't know why they needed the 7th one.
So they either added more or they changed the color of the stars.
Yeah.
The stars.
Yeah, now it's pink instead of purple.
Color change.
There is no pink. Well, there is no pink star in the original one, so that's why it could also be, and it could be that there's more stars now.
You know what I'm wondering? I mean, I've only ever gotten to the end boss in the couple of times I've played it, but I'm wondering if they're going to change the Power Ranger guys or any of those little Easter eggs.
I think they're I thought about that too, and I feel like they are a very memorable part of the game. So I don't think they'll change them. They might even lean harder into the Power Ranger theme, maybe put like white triangles on them or something, like because the only thing that really makes them Power Ranger nods in the original is they're called the Axum Rangers, and they're all the different colors of the Power Rangers. But other than that, it's not like they look like them or anything.
I don't know. I was just curious because, I mean, for me, this will be probably the first time I legit beat the game. And there's not a lot I remember other than like how terrifying the Arrow boss guy is. So
yeah, that's the first like difficulty spike in the game, is that boss. That's where it really puts you to the test. You could kind of sleep through it up to that point. And I just realized, like, so for that boss too, just like the normal, how you input the controls where it has the X, Y, A, B around your character, he has the X, Y, and B in front of him, and he disables the buttons. So, so that's gonna have to look similar to whatever the user interface they use is.
But I'm looking forward to playing it again. And I mean, if there is added content, great. Because you know that game inside out. So for me, it still almost would be like a new experience.
Yeah, I think we're all.
I'm thinking there might be something like how Link's Awakening remake had that create a dungeon feature. Like I think there's at least going to be something that wasn't there before, like at least one new feature. I don't know if it's going to be like a completely overhauled thing where you have like difficulty settings now and you get, all these different attacks and all this and that. But there's going to be something, because I feel like they always kind of give you at least some reason to say, oh, this is new and I didn't have this before.
How about Mario RPG with amiibo support?
I would love that.
Yeah, because they could release amiibos for this game, couldn't they? Like, aren't there?
I'd buy them all.
Yeah,
I'm sure they could. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's plenty of characters that you could do for this game. I mean,
they would be fools not to.
I don't know what amiibo support even would be, but it sounds for this game. But it sounds good. I think it could be a variety of things.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the most obvious thing would be that if you use it like during a battle, it heals your party, or you could do it where you have to use them outside a battle, and kind of like in Zelda, it gives you like a chest with a random item in it or something.
It gives you different outfits. I mean, do they have outfits in Mario RPG? I don't know.
I mean, like any RPG, you equip stuff, but at least in the original, it doesn't change how the character looks. But you do have armor that you equip, just like a normal RPG.
Yeah.
Is there any indication that Square was involved at all, or we still don't
They're
know?
not. I mean,
They're not.
legally,
Okay.
I'm sure they are because they own those characters and stuff. But as far as making the game, they're not. It's being made by another company.
They're getting money from it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be good.
They had to check yes on a piece of paper that they got from Nintendo. We want to make this game. Will you let us?
Yeah.
So what's everybody been playing this week? That's our normal conversation. I was just really excited to learn new Mario RPG stuff.
No, that's good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff, yeah.
I like when people are able to do a deep dive like that. I mean, I don't even know if there's anything I'm into enough that I could do something like that, but I'm still trying to beat the end boss of Final Fantasy 1.
What's the holdup? You just underleveled?
No, I'm at like level 55. I just keep getting really bad rolls, I guess.
That's a change, by the way, because in the original NES version, you could only get up to level 50. But every remake after the original NES version, they changed it to a normal 100, like every RPG.
But I mean, I've put 26 hours into it, so I mean, overall, it's been a good time. I've enjoyed it. They did a good job as far as I've always known where I was gonna go next. Like, I haven't had to like look stuff up. So yeah, it's just trying to get those stupid random rolls to hit right for the end boss.
You'll get them. What's your party?
So I get the dragon blessing, so that actually upgraded everybody's class. So I have a black mage, a white mage, a warrior, and the thief's a ninja now.
Oh, so that's pretty much that's like the recommended first time through.
Yeah,
party.
yeah. I
I mean, you see YouTube videos where people do the whole game with all four being white mages, like crazy stuff like that. But
oh my god, no, good lord. But yeah, no. I mean, I'm really really liking it, and like I said, hopefully I can beat him and be done. But I really recommend it if you haven't played it. And I know the price point's kind of a sticking thing, but I think it's worth it. Like I said, got 26 hours out of a game from the NES that's got a new coat of paint on it now.
Well, I haven't played that one yet, but if it's anything like the Game Boy Advance version, I'd say it's also worth it. Which I think they built those remasters, some of them, off of the remakes that we've already had. They just kind of touched them up a little better. What about you, Harrison? What have you been up to?
I mean, in the Nintendo world, I guess I've been playing a little bit of Pokemon. And, well, actually, I'll kind of save that part because I think we're going to talk about Pokemon a bit in the rumors section. So yeah, just been kind of chilling, playing some early access on as well on the other end of the gaming world. But yeah, chilling.
Well, let's dive into these news stories head first. Our top story tonight. Journalist and industry insider Jeff Grubb has said that Metroid Prime 2 Remastered will be arriving, quote, relatively soonish. So this should have probably been in the rumors section, but whatever.
That'll be relatively nice, even though I still haven't gotten through the first part of it.
And he also said that something The Legend of Zelda related is also happening later this year. Though he says it's not related to Tears of the Kingdom. So that obviously, like probably both of you, my first thought reading that was, oh, of course, Tears of the Kingdom DLC. But he says that is not it. So let's start speculating, I guess. Well, I can read the exact quotes first. The first one is, Metroid Prime 2 Remastered probably is coming out relatively soonish. That is happening. That probably is happening relatively soonish. This next phrase, I'm afraid to say, so I might not actually say it. Listen, I don't know what it means. I'm going to tell you what they told me. And if you take this and you spin it into something else, everybody, it's on you. Okay? It's on you. And then the next quote is, it's going to be mostly what people want, right? It's going to have the modern controls and it's going to be HD and things like that, but it's not going to get the love and care that Metroid Prime got. And then the last quote, sorry, Harrison.
Sorry. No, that's
last quote is last quote is something not related to Tears of the Kingdom is happening with Zelda later this year.
No, sorry. I read the same article and I just felt like I don't know what the questions like. It feels like it's out of order. Like it feels like they went Metroid, Zelda. So when I read it the first time, I was like, wait, what's having modern controls? I went back and forth. Jeff Grubb, man. I mean, this guy. I went back and forth. I think because he got dragged so much for putting out the Wind Waker Twilight Princess rumors that because he was so convinced that was going to come last year.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is because one, it's the most logical in my brain, and also he's putting a lot of, hey, I'll tell you this, but whatever you take of it is on you now. So I think it is the remix.
Could also just be like something like a Cadence of Hyrule type thing. But the fact, I don't know, the fact that we haven't gotten those yet is crazy. So hopefully they're coming. And hopefully if they do come, I've said this before, Wind Waker HD on the Wii U had this awesome online feature where you would do these messages in a bottle. Because, it's perfect. The game is ocean themed. You're out on a boat. You're out on the ocean. What you do is you would put a message inside a bottle and just toss it out. And other players all around the world would be able to get these bottles and read them. And I think they could reply to them too. I can't quite remember if they could leave comments or if they could just like it. But I remember you could because there's a camera in the game, you could attach photos to those letters and make fun of things. And I don't know, it was a blast. And I loved those messages in a bottle. And I recently replayed that HD version and I was so sad that those bottles weren't around anymore.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's what it is. I think when we look at how they just released Pikmin 1 and 2 in lieu of Pikmin 4, of course, Zelda already came out, but they're going to be releasing another Zelda game and DLC, I'm sure. I think this is the most logical. Could we ever see a remake of Link Between Worlds? Do you think?
I would
That
love
would be
that.
interesting.
And I remember people saying when the last Nintendo Direct had the Luigi's Mansion reveal, I saw a lot of people saying of all the 3DS games, why Luigi's Mansion 2? You've got 3D Land, you've got Link Between Worlds, you've got I'm go on and on, but yeah, I would love a Link Between Worlds on the Switch. That would be amazing. I honestly, I think I would rather see the Zelda series go in that direction than what Breath of the Wild to me. Yeah, it was a departure. I still loved it, still a great game, but I don't want that to be what the series completely becomes from now on. It was a fine little side story, side project, but I'd like to get more of the Link Between Worlds style.
Right. I think an Unreal Engine remake of this game, whether it's on this system or next system, would be really, really cool. And I'm surprised, again, after Link's Awakening, after the success of that, why we haven't had more games just with that engine.
Yeah, because as you've said on this podcast before, it was massively successful. It's one of the best-selling Zelda games is that remake.
Yeah. Period. And it's a gorgeous game. And actually, I was watching some Link Between World videos yesterday, and graphically, that game holds up great. So seeing a remake of that game, I'm sure would just be gorgeous. So that was all I had. I mean, I think it's not a new game because there's some news items where I'm thinking about just the lifespan of the Switch, and I mean Zelda doesn't rush things. So that's my guess. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'd say the same, but again, I just realized I probably should have put this in the rumors section because who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Might not even be happening.
Just don't go after Jeff Grubb if nothing happens. That's what he's saying basically. I thought.
Yeah.
Now, I have never played. I don't think I've ever played Metroid Prime 2. I'm not surprised that it's coming out. If it's coming out like before the holidays, I will be surprised. That is pretty quick. And then, does that mean we're getting Metroid Prime 3? Because I mean, we're gonna have all four Pikmins on one system. Just give us all Metroid then. At that point,
Yeah, it does seem like Nintendo is doing a good job of finally starting to really, go in on the history of their franchises and make their franchises almost fully available. Look how many Zelda games you can play on the Switch, or uh, Mario, ton of those, like between Switch Online and all that other stuff.
yeah,
Like
Kirby.
they're really, really, yep. Pokemon, they're getting around to. They've done a lot of remakes and stuff.
So I'm not.
So next,
Yeah.
oh,
No, just close. It's not a remake I'm that excited about, but yeah, way to go, Nintendo.
next news item. Speaking of remakes and updates and stuff, Stardew Valley. Not necessarily only on Nintendo, but Nintendo's where I play it. Uh, there's a new update coming. The creator tweeted out, coming in Stardew Valley 1.6. New festival, new items, more dialogues, secrets, and then 3 question marks.
Yep.
So that'll be nice. They keep expanding on that game.
I think this is great. I think this is. I mean, Concerned Ape, man. I mean, this developer, because like he said that he's going to release an update, and it's going to be to help support the modding community. And then he comes out and he says there's going to be a new event, and like there's going to be like whole new things that are going to be supported on consoles like Nintendo Switch, not just for like the PC players, which is like, I don't know, half, So
Yeah.
So I just love it. Like in the world of games that of like things that we live in, where like people will just release and abandon games and asset flip games. Like this guy is creating a model that is like, I'm going to keep updating it for free, and people are going to keep coming back to it. I'm going to make it so accessible in the modding community that people will still be encouraged to buy this game. I mean, I want to tell you guys something. Yesterday on Steam, Stardew Valley was the 6th highest played game just yesterday on Steam. For a game that's that old, and you're going up against games like Rust and games like games where lots of people are playing online. I mean,
and it's a $14 game.
Yeah, and the peak yesterday was 46,000. And on Nexus Mods, Stardew Valley is the highest modded indie game by a lot. It is the 3rd highest franchise next to Skyrim and Fallout. I mean, this game on consoles, on PC, modding community, casual community, I mean, it doesn't matter. This game has created a model that more people should take after, because a lot of people are creating half-made games, releasing them early access, not updating them, releasing paid DLC when they're not fully complete, So, I mean, if he released DLC for Stardew, I would buy it. Just throwing that out there.
It's kind of crazy that he hasn't made a Stardew Valley 2 at this point with all the changes he's made to the game.
Yeah. But I mean, he's made lots of money from it. People are going to buy everything he makes after this. I mean, I will play his new game. I mean, even though it's going to be a lot different.
It's like a chocolate factory game or something. Like,
right?
I don't know. I watched that trailer like a year ago.
It's called Haunted Chocolatier, and a lot of Reddit fan theories is that this new event, or maybe predictions, is that this new event could be like Valentine's Day, where you get chocolate, and it's going to be somehow related to this new game that all Stardew fans are going to want to buy. So sorry to go off a little tangent. When I saw that news, I was really pumped up about it. I think Concerned Ape is just the man. I think he's great.
For sure. Okay, so the Metacritic scores are in for Pikmin 4. We can just hit that real quick. That happened today. That's the day we recorded this anyway. So Pikmin 4 scored an 88 based on 67 critical reviews. If you're curious how that stacks up, Pikmin 3 scored an 87. Pikmin 3 Deluxe scored an 85, which is interesting. Pikmin 2 scored a 90, so that's the highest one in the franchise. The first Pikmin scored an 82, and Pikmin 1 plus 2 scored an 80, if you got the bundle.
So
I know the internet freaks out anytime something's, if it's not a 9 out of 10, it's a failure. If it's not a 90 on Metacritic, it's a failure, but 88's a good score. I think that tells me it's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, second best rated.
Yeah, and I was looking through some of the critic quotes, and they even GameSpot, who only gave it a 7 out of 10, is still very complimentary to the game. They still say the series has had some bad habits, and this installment introduces a lot of quality of life updates that improve on those bad habits. So I'm excited. I'm going to be playing it day one.
It's overwhelming. It's overwhelmingly positive. I mean,
yeah.
80.
I'm just saying it because I know some people online, if it's not above a 90, are oh, it failed.
I'm predicting that this meta score is going to be much higher than the user
Probably.
score. Just based on this I think I know Metacritic politics pretty well at this point. I think considering that this will not be a completely different game, I'm sure people are going to give it 4 out of 10 after playing it for 20 minutes, something like that. So I think that this is going to be much higher. It'll be interesting. I'll be interested in the future to see which Switch games end up being on the Metacritic must plays. I don't know how many of those are on there, but I know Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, of course, are must plays.
I'll tell you, 3 is a hard act to follow. I really liked 3, and I'm going in fully expecting to have liked 3 more, but prove me wrong, game. I'll be happy to say no, 4 is way better, and this series now has 2 ridiculously amazing entries. The first one I think is all right, and the second one I didn't play, but the third one I loved.
And 3 is not a must play on the Wii U or Switch, but it could be.
I don't know if how many games would you give a person from must play? It might make my top 10.
I don't know, and I don't know how Metacritic decides that. I guess that's the part of the part I don't understand.
If I had to put together a list of my 10 favorite Switch games, and I don't know because I'm not going to do that list right now, but there's a good chance Pikmin 3 would be number 10 on that list.
It was Pikmin 3 was the number 13 best Switch game of 2020. But I think that includes everything that was released on Switch that year. Going based off scores alone. It has to be. Because I don't even know if there's 13 Switch Nintendo games released in a year.
And Harrison, since you know more about Pokemon, would you want to tackle the rumor that we have here this week?
Sure. So I don't have it pulled up. I don't have the rumor pulled up, but it's about Black and White.
Yeah, it says prolific leakers Riddler, Coup, and Centro Leaks have been teasing that the next Pokemon game could have ties to Nintendo DS games Pokemon Black and White. Ties to.
Right. So I think you can look at this in two different ways. I mean, Centro Leaks, in my opinion, is right and wrong about plenty of things. And these rumors were going to happen, whether this is true or valid or not. I mean, they're going to re-release the generations in order. Uh, Brilliant Diamond, Shiny Pearl, Generation 4 had a great release, sold very, very well. So it's only logical that Black and White will be the next one to come. Now, I've thought they're going to go back to other games like, like Let's Go, or, like Pokemon Stadium. They're releasing a new Pokemon Detective game. But I think...
Yeah, they did a new Snap.
Right. And I think it's only logical. Now, the question then would be timeline, because again, like as I said with Metroid, we're getting kind of towards the end of the Switch, of course. At the same time, Pokemon does not care about rushing their games. They will release three Pokemon games in 1 year. So that's the only part that I would speculate about. But these rumors were bound to happen. Now it could be other things. It could be that they're going to release Gen 5 Pokemon on Scarlet and Violet. I think that's unlikely based on how long that game has been out now. Or
what were the starters for Black and White?
I don't know. I didn't play Black and White.
Oh yeah, because
yeah. You have to look it up. Now
I'm gonna look that up right now.
The ultimate for me would be is if they're making another Legends game in Unova. That would be the ultimate dream for me, is that if they're going to make another Legends style game and make it in this Gen 5 world. I think that's highly unlikely, but again, I mean, you could see Pokemon release 2 or 3 games in next year. Who knows?
So the starters were Snivy for grass type, T-Pig for fire, and Oshawott for water. And now I really want this to be true, and I want access to these Pokemon again, because I loved Oshawott, that little otter. He's adorable.
Oh, and by chance, there's any listeners in the ROM hack fan game community, I have not gotten to play Luminescent Platinum, but I have it downloaded, and I'm super, super excited about it. A lot of people are saying it's the best fan-made game in the last 5 years, basically. I mean, a lot of people are saying that. And Pokemon Unbound has been my favorite Pokemon game I've played in forever. If I can consider it to be a Pokemon game, I do. But basically what Luminescent Platinum is they took an older ROM, Renegade Platinum, which was a ROM hack of Platinum, and then they redid it with Brilliant Diamond, Shiny Pearl. So I think that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I love when they get creative like that, or like I like when they make ROMs just where you can get the entire Pokedex in one version. That's always a good time. I love randomizer ones too, like especially for games outside of Pokemon. Like randomizer games are a great way to extend the shelf life of a game.
Yeah, and this one seems to have lots of quality of life improvements in it, and just a lot of features that I think they wish the actual Pokemon company would add. So it's interesting the types of games that come out from that community. That's all.
Okay, and moving into the spotlight this week, we're going to knock a whole lot of games off the list. We're going to knock out some doubles. So, one thing I thought was worth mentioning is all of these Mario Advance remakes of the older Mario games, is that it kind of all started with Super Mario Brothers Deluxe on the Game Boy Color.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because that obviously was where they redid Mario Brothers with some extras, and these games have extras. It kind of set the trend. It had a challenge mode where they would put 5 red coins hidden in each level and a Yoshi egg hidden in each level, and there was a high score mode, and there was a thing where you could race a Boo through new levels that had never existed before, and you would hit these switches to like put up a wall that would block him as you raced him. I remember that was one of the few Game Boy Color games I had, and it was really cool to see the original NES Mario Brothers become portable. I've seen some people online say it was even better than the Game Boy Advance version of it they made for some reason. But because they didn't do the original Mario Brothers in the Advance series, but they released
Nope.
it as part of
Right.
the NES Classics that they also did for the Game Boy
Right.
Advance. So it made it there eventually. But did you guys take a whack at any of these games this week? All of them? Some of
I
them?
just did the one. I mean, I
Oh, okay.
I did the one that I did two, which is the one that we spun last week, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, I did a lot of thinking about it. Like, when these games first came out, what were your friends calling these games? Like, did anyone know that they were remakes, or were people just like, yeah, this is one, this is two, whatever?
Oh, we were definitely aware that they were remakes of the original
Yeah.
games. This might have even been 2001. Yeah, I still had my Nintendo Power subscription. So, because I didn't get rid of that until like 2003 or 4. So, yeah, I definitely knew all about it. They would be talking about it in there. And obviously, I grew up with the originals, but I think I probably like they might have printed the first one as like just Super Mario Advance, and I might have thought like, ooh, a new original Mario game's coming to the Game Boy Advance, and then but every one after that I would have known.
Do you think the capabilities of the Game Boy Advance influenced the fact that they released Super Mario World on Game Boy Advance? Like, they released Super Mario Advance 2, Super Mario World 2nd, because of the capabilities of that system.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Because I think even from Nintendo Power at the time, uh, they were putting a lot of emphasis on this. The Game Boy Advance is a portable Super Nintendo.
Right.
Like like the handhelds are from now on going to be one generation behind, because they were on the Nintendo 64 still in 2000 when the Game Boy Advance came out. And yeah, they were like the handhelds will be one generation behind, and video gaming is always going to keep that trend going. And yeah, I remember a lot of, because I also remember a lot of talk about, well, if it's a portable Super Nintendo, you're missing two buttons,
Right.
which comes into play for this game.
Right. And, like, I mean, do you feel like the port of this game, do you feel like it looks better? Because I was trying to think, because Game Boy Advance is like I think it's my least favorite Game Boy system. Like, I'm just gonna include all of the iterations just in one. Mostly because,
Okay.
like, it was hard to play at night. It was hard to play. It was hard to. It was just.
Yeah.
It was hard to see sometimes. I'll put it that way. So, do you?
So to answer your question, I agree. This, especially the color palette, looks a little washed on the game we're talking about, which is I don't think I've said yet, Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 2. And the reason for that is, so Yoshi's Island also looks a little washed, and same thing with Super Mario Advance. But by the time they got around to doing Super Mario Brothers 3, the Game Boy Advance SP had come out, which, if you don't know, that's the one that was backlit. So if you compare them, load them up if you get a second to yourself there. Load up this game and then load up the Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3, and you'll notice the colors are way better in 3, because once they had that backlight, they knew that they could make the colors a little sharper.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I couldn't remember, like, it's not a system that I would go back to, and playing through it it definitely felt that way.
I had a really hard time playing the Super Mario World, Mario Advance 2. The controls just were like, I think because I've played Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo so much, something about I felt like the jumping and the running were backwards. First off, I could be wrong about that, or no, because it's like on the original, it's top and bottom, and now the buttons are next to each other. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And it just didn't control as I honestly didn't I probably played this the least out of all the Spotlight games because I was like, I just want it to be the original. And you know, if I had had this at the time and I was playing it if it was my only way to have Mario World on the go, I probably would have been way more into it.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same about I didn't spend a lot of time with any of them, and like for the time, yeah, that was probably the only way you were playing those games portably, but to me now, I don't know, it just feels like they added 4 games that could have been something completely different. These just feel like they're placeholders almost. So I didn't really enjoy playing them that much. I prefer the original games overall.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I agree too.
I wrote a list of few of the changes the series made, so I'll just go through these. So the first game they released was Super Mario Advance, which was a version of Super Mario Brothers 2. And this one had more changes than the others. Like I didn't make a complete list, but like right off the jump, like the beginning of the level's different. They got like the big shy guys and stuff. And it was also interesting trivia. That's the first use of the modern voice for Toad. So that was where that
Oh,
Oh,
started.
really?
Yep.
That was a long. That was a
That
long
kind
time
of
ago.
gravelly Toad voice. Yeah, 2000 March 21st, 2001. So that obviously the added voice clips were a change. First use to Toad. Princess Toadstool was changed to Peach because by that time she was Peach, which I'll never get used to. And there was a new boss added, Roberto, which is a robot Birdo. Never seen before, never seen again.
That's too bad. I have some interesting ones for Mario Advance 2. Some interesting facts.
Yeah, so that's the next one. Let's get that down.
Well, the ones I had, it was the first time they had Koopas on 2 legs.
Okay.
On the GBA version, they changed Yoshi's feet from orange to green because for some reason on Super Nintendo they were orange, and they changed them to green.
I thought he was wearing shoes.
Or was it
He
shoes?
has boots on, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
boots.
Okay.
I'm gonna. You know what? I'm loading up the cover right now because I think you can see them on the Super Mario World cover.
And
Look at shoes away.
and Bowser.
Oh yeah, he's definitely got boots.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, then 3, 2, 1. All right. And Bowser, because Bowser in Super Nintendo was originally was green, I believe, and then I think on the GBA version they changed him back to his like actual like orange color. But now, but now I'm not feeling confident anymore. Now I'm.
No, that sounds right.
Now,
You're right. He was green.
yeah,
in the
now
original.
I'm guessing everything now. What did you have, Kevin? Did you have any more? Yeah.
So Luigi is now playable in single
That's right.
player, and he's got his like Mario 2 flutter
That's awesome.
jump. There's red coins now. There's a Yoshi challenge mode. There's a cutscene with Mario and Luigi messing around and flying on the island in the opening. And there's also, if you collect all of the dragon coins in the original Super Nintendo game, you got nothing. It was just the satisfaction of doing it. In this, if you collect all the dragon coins in the game, when you beat the game, there's a little cutscene at the end where they all like rain down. So, and then they start stacking up.
Right. And how many dragon coins are there in this whole game? There's like a lot.
That I don't know.
Yeah.
That I don't know. Aren't there like 5 per level or something crazy?
I think there's more. Yeah.
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 I think there's 5 per level.
So the Game Boy Advance version also, another difference is I'd like to talk about the e-reader here because we're probably never going to talk about this thing again. I forgot until I started looking into this game that to use the e-reader, no wonder this thing failed. You needed 2 Game Boy Advances. So
I don't remember that.
to make it work, you'd have to put the game in one Game Boy or Game Boy Advance, link it to another Game Boy Advance that had the e-reader plugged into it, and then you'd swipe the card in the e-reader on the second system. So no wonder that didn't work.
I'm not surprised. I mean, that sounds about right when it comes to that sort of kind of weird tech. Like I never understood why those things worked back in the day. Like in Animal Crossing, when you would hook up your Game Boy Advance to your GameCube, and that somehow triggered the island. Like there were just a lot of weird.
Oh yeah, I actually had that attachment.
Yeah. I had that attachment as well. Of course, I did. But I never understood why, like, I had to attach it, and then all of a sudden, the boat would show up, and I could go to this island because I had it was like magic. I never understood that hardware.
I can only think of one other game that used it, and that's Wind Waker. You could use it as like a secondary map, and I think if you had like a second player holding the Game Boy Advance, it would show the map of the area you were on, and I think they could drop bombs. But that's it.
Very confusing.
So yeah, I do think though I like the idea of the cards. Just the collector in me kind of like wishes. Like I know we have amiibos these days, but if on
they
Amiibo
have
cards.
amiibo cards too.
Well, aren't those like the bootleg version now?
No, they have actual Amiibo cards. I don't think they're that nice though. Like
I would like a thick as a credit card type card that like you could put in a binder.
I wish they had Amiibo cards that had different rarities to them, because like the Amiibo cards, like I don't think they're anything that special. They're just very, very convenient, and they're
do they do the same thing the Amiibo does?
They do, and and there's real ones, but there's also tons of bootlegs on Etsy and they're
See, that's why I didn't know, because I've seen the bootleg ones, and I just thought I thought they all were bootleg, but I didn't know they were official.
Game stores around here, I've definitely seen them, and I would see.
I'm looking at them now. I
would
like
see.
This.
They would put them in like in Taiwan. There's lots of crane games, and they would put amiibos in the crane games, which is quite fun. But again, I don't think the cards are like. I think they could just do more with them because people love trading cards, including me.
Yeah, I want to see this emphasized more on the Nintendo Switch 2 or the Virtual Boy Color, whatever we're going with. So some other changes the series had. We'll get back to that. Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Advance 3, which came out in 2002. It's almost the exact game. That's the one with like the least amount of changes. It just really has like a new world map, and it has 6 new secret levels. But other than that, of the 4, that's the closest one. And then the confusingly titled Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3, which came out in 2003. It's got the added voice clips, Princess Toadstool's now Princess Peach, and it's got added levels from the e-reader. And that is about it on that one. So the one with the most changes, I think, is the first game. And then by the end here, the last 2, they were like, we don't need to do anything. Just put it on the Game Boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Do you think Super Mario World is a valid first Mario game for someone? I know we've talked about this. I know we've had the subject
like
before.
Their first,
but do you think?
Yeah,
I think it's definitely a good option if you want to present them with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, for like a modern gamer, I would put that up there. I'd put New Super Mario Brothers Deluxe up there because they're very similar. And then if they want a 3D one, obviously Odyssey. You got to kind of go more modern with it.
Yeah, because I was trying to think of how many Mario games could be a first Mario game. I was trying to go through that, and I think there's at least five. I think there's at least five. Depending on if you wanted to do 2D, 3D, 2.5, I think there's lots of good first options.
What are they?
Well, you could do Mario Brothers. You could do Mario Brothers 3.
Yep.
You could do Super Mario World. You could do Odyssey. You could do Mario 64. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could. Like
See, I love Mario 64, but I would never give that to someone for their first
No.
game just because the camera has not
exactly.
aged well.
I love that game too, and then I booted it up when I got the remaster or whatever, and didn't really play it. But if you wanted to go in order and play like one of the most popular ones first, but I'm saying I mean, you could play the original first, you could play 3 first, you could play World, and I just named 3 of the first 4 right there. So I think there's lots of different options, and then that's just the platformers, that's just those games.
I think bringing it back to the beginning, Mario RPG is like one of the best entry RPG games I think you could give someone.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so.
That might have been my first RPG. I'm not sure. It's all a blur. Because I would have had Final Fantasy VII around that time, like the next year. So nope, that was a year later. Yeah, that might have been. What else? I definitely played Final Fantasy VI on the Super Nintendo, but not much. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. Yeah, that was my first RPG. So sounds like we're ready to do some ranking.
Yeah, what are we ranking? Are we ranking the one game or?
Well, I originally thought we'd rank them all and get them off the list, but if you don't want to do that, we can at least do this one.
I can do that. So, but we're doing the 4 remakes.
Yeah, because we've covered all of the originals at this point, except we haven't covered Super Mario World.
Right,
So,
right. Which
I guess we should rank that
which
as well.
is kind of where I got stuck with the rankings, because I feel like I would rank World and Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance. I can't do it anymore. The Game Boy Advance game. I think it's so. Yeah. Okay.
Will it help you to know how I'm ranking them?
You go. I'll think about it.
You broke
Yes.
Harrison.
Because I do know. Right now, I would put Super Mario World, the original release Super Nintendo version. It's a masterpiece, of course. Goes in the top 3. It's right below Yoshi's Island because you go all the way back to the episode where we did Yoshi's Island. I'm pretty sure I said it in that episode. I prefer that one. So Yoshi's Island is above it. But Mario World will be number 3. Top 3, A Link to the Past, Yoshi's Island, and Mario World right now. Super Nintendo killing it. As far as the Game Boy game, the Game Boy version, because the controls were so bad, I'm going to put that down at number 14. And my logic for that is that's about where the part on my list starts of the games I'm probably never going to play again. But of all the games I'm never going to play again, I'm never going to play this one the least. So figure that out.
Okay, so we did the original and 2, and are we going to do the other 3 remakes? Or
yeah, I could do that. Let me.
Or,
I think we should.
Or should we
so
circle around? I don't know.
I'll try to figure that out right now, live and in person. So let's see. Where would I put? So I think they're all just going to end up in a clump here at the top of my games I'll never play again list. So, because I'm going to put Super Mario Advance right below Super Mario Advance 2. Oh, you know what? They're not all going to end up there. And I'll tell you why. I love the advanced version. The only one that I think is an improvement is the Super Mario Brothers 3 one.
Yeah.
So I'm putting that above Super Mario Brothers 3 right now. What is that? Advanced
4. Wait.
3? See how
Yeah.
confusing this
Super
is,
Mario
Nintendo?
Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3. Is that right?
There you go. Super.
It sounds good. We are not Nintendo experts.
So that's going toward the top of the list. And the only one I haven't ranked now is the Yoshi's Island one. Again, that one is, but the controls are so bad. Like this, the Nintendo one, it doesn't matter. Like Super Mario Brothers 3, it doesn't matter because there's only 2 buttons on an NES controller. But when you try to emulate the Super Nintendo controller with just the 2 buttons, it doesn't really work. So I'm not going to rank it too high. I'm going to put that one in the middle of the other 2. So above Advanced and below Advanced 2. Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Advance 3. So that one ranks number 16. All right, Sean, you've been quiet tonight. Let's hear some
All
ranking.
right, so as far as the original Super Mario World, that's number 5. It's Super Mario World. And then after that, I guess we'll just respectfully put everybody else right after Dreamland. So it'd be Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3. Jesus.
Yeah, it's so, the titles are so, this is like a sobriety test to try and keep
Okay, so under
these straight.
Dreamland is Super Mario Brothers 3, and then
And then after that, I'd put Super Mario Brothers Advance, Mario 2.
See, the titling doesn't work because they don't even, Super Mario Brothers 2 isn't even in that title. It's just Super Mario Advance.
Well, there you go.
you can put it in parentheses.
Yeah.
People listening, they're doing the Google Doc live, so you know.
And actually,
So you said that one was below World?
no. I'm typing it in myself. What are you doing?
Oh, I
Go
didn't
away.
see that. Okay. There you go.
You know what? I'm gonna put the world one lower. I'll put it under Dynamite.
This is all really demonstrating how much we didn't like Dynamite Heady last week because they're all going above Dynamite Heady.
I
even though
like
we
that
complained.
game, but it's it's again comparing it to a Mario game. Like what is your least favorite Mario game?
Yeah. So yeah, we'll do them. So 13 through 16 are the advanced games for me.
So far.
Uh,
I'm sure they're going to sink lower and lower and lower.
well, yeah, but it's funny to me that Mario World is actually the worst of the remakes. So
Yeah, because, talk about taking, like, it's the opposite of polishing a turd. Like they turned gold into a
They put
turd.
turd on
Right.
gold.
Yeah.
so that's crazy to me that it's the worst of the bunch. But the original game,
You have to use the R button to do the spin jump. It's ridiculous.
but the original game's top 5. So go
Yeah.
fig. But hey, we got 5 games off the list, so I'm cool with it. But yeah, I don't know. For remakes, I just found these kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
And like you said before, they probably would have been better at the time. It was the only way to, like, if you were in college and you had like time between classes or something, it was a good way to bring the games with you. It was the only way to bring the games with you legally. And it was a good option at the time. It just hasn't aged
Yeah.
well.
Exactly.
Good
I
luck,
don't.
Harrison.
Okay, so I think Sean, I think you killed it. I think I'm gonna have to steal this idea. Let's see if I go the same
okay.
order. Kevin, I don't have my desktop pulled up for this, so I'm
Okay,
yeah.
I can type it in.
I'll put the original Super Mario World. I'll put it number 4 below the NES Super Mario Brothers 2. I'm a big Mario Brothers 2 fan, and I'll put it above Yoshi's Island. I feel about
Okay.
I feel about the same. Like
That-
I could go. I could
That's
kind of go.
respectable.
I could go either way. I could go either way on World or Yoshi's Island. And then I think I'm going to jump down after Sin and Punishment. So I think I'll do same as Sean. So number 10, I'll do Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3. Damn. I think you know what? I think I'm stealing Sean's list on this. So we could
Okay.
Okay, so then because I'm thinking, do I want to change the order of this at all? No, then it's Super Mario Advance, which is Mario Brothers 2. Then Super Mario Advance 3, Yoshi's Island. Super Mario Advance 2, Super Mario World. Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, Sean, I think that's good. I think I would rank it above any of these other non-big, well, I shouldn't say big IP games. It's above like Donkey Kong Jr. and Yoshi.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I put those kind of right in the middle. I think the three of us kind of agree on the order of how we would do these games. So we did it. I mean, we don't have to go back now.
It's just funny to me that like the Sega games, even if we like them, are still just kind of getting like shoved down. So I'm hoping at some point one is gonna rise above everything.
That's what happens when you rank everything. You know, that's kind of why I love this experiment. Is you got to look at stuff that doesn't belong in the same universe with each other and compare them.
I mean, 5 out of my top 7 are Mario games now, and if you include Yoshi's Island, it's 6 out of 7. The only one not being that is Link to the Past. So right now it's a lot of Mario at the top.
All right, well, let's roll these digital dice and see if that's going to change for
saying
next
Sega.
week.
And I still have not beaten the end of Final Fantasy.
You were correct, Harrison. We got a Sega Genesis game coming.
Nice.
The game is Sword of Vermilion,
Ooh.
which is an RPG. And that's all I know about it.
All right. I'm cool with finishing Final Fantasy and then jumping into a Sega RPG. That works.
I'm probably going to have to watch a Let's Play because there's no way I'm going to have time to play a full RPG, but I can listen to someone play one and get the play-by-play.
This is not one that I know.
I haven't played it yet either. I'm looking at the
Think if
Wikipedia
I
right
haven't
now.
Played it.
Came out in 1990 in America. First console exclusive game designed by Sega AM2 Studio. It's in the Classics collection.
Okay.
It was available on the Wii's Virtual Console. And yeah, it's in the Switch Online expansion pack, obviously.
And
the game features different views and playstyles differing from the more traditional RPGs of the time. The town view uses the typical overhead angle found in most RPGs. The battle view is a tilted overhead view where the player takes control of the character in real-time combat. So sounds like Final Fantasy. The dungeon view is in the first-person perspective, similar to Phantasy Star Online. And the boss view puts the player up against a boss from a sideways point of view. Interesting.
And more on that next week. Yeah.
It's interesting that they make the boss view different than the regular battles.
Yeah. All right. Looking forward to digging into that then. So cool.
Yeah. And listeners, if you're a Sword of Vermilion fan, leave us a comment on Spotify.
Oh yeah.
Tell us why we should love it.
This is going to be one of those things where we're going to be like, why haven't they brought this back?
Oh, yeah. So many dead RPGs from that era. But you can play Final Fantasy VII on every single device that plays video games.
Very true.
Alrighty. And as always, we are Nintendo fans, not Nintendo experts. So if you like to give us any corrections on anything we said today, let us know down below on Spotify. You can leave comments now. You can email us at nintendotherapypod@gmail.com. And we're on Twitter, at Nintendo Therapy on Twitter. So go chase us down, harass us with comments. We need them. And we will see y'all next week.
Oh.